Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former light heavyweight world title challenger himself, the main man, Mr. Craig Richards. Craig, welcome back on the show.
Thank you. Glad to be back on.
Always a pleasure, Craig. So we last spoke back in February of last year, so basically a year ago. At the time, you'd just beaten Boris Crichton and looked good doing it. Since then, just the one fight. That loss on points to Willie Hutchinson. Craig, tell me, I know that we haven't really spoke much since then. What went wrong there? I was expecting you to really have too much for Hutchinson, probably even stop him.
I think, to be fair, the normal me would have had too much and I probably would have stopped him. The problem I think I had is I tried to make too much change at that stage in my career. And I think like a lot of the assets that I had obviously came from the hard graft and the matchroom training that I've been at for many years. And obviously I tried a new system. Obviously the conditioning wasn't to what I was used to. It's the first time going to fight with not so conditioned, number one. So not as fit. And number two, I feel the tactics wasn't ideal for. I don't feel the tactics was ideal anyway, but especially for the Willie Hutchinson fight. The combination of it all literally didn't even give me like 30% of myself. I think like if I was even 70%, I would have got the job done, because I thought like even the back end of the fight, I think he was quite tired. I heard going into the 10th. I think he was probably ready to go at one point when I caught him a few shots, but I just didn't have no gears or the engine to follow up what I usually do in the later rounds, where I usually get stronger in the later rounds. And that's why I say I think my conditioning has been taken for granted when I was finally in them latter rounds, not training as hard as I usually do, and usually doing the conditioning stuff I was doing at Matchroom took a massive toll.
So, Craig, forgive me if I've not seen this, but who are you training with now then?
I've gone back to the Matchroom gym.
Oh, you're back there. Okay.
I'm with
right.
Tony Sims now.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay, I didn't know that, because again, you haven't really posted much on social media, even in the recent few months.
Yeah, I just had my head down, working hard, and like we ended up in a little situation to the point that things wasn't working out at the Mcguigan gym, and I just had to just say, look, probably my lot here. I've got a push, and I think it was about 6-7 weeks before this fight, and I just spoke to Tony, and I just made the transition instantly and started early morning with him, and started the runs and conditioning from literally the next morning, and we just got busy straight away.
Okay. And yeah, obviously by the time this next fight comes around next month, you'd have been out the ring for 9 months. What's been going on aside from the trainer change in that time? Have you had fights fall through, or have you just been training the whole time?
Yeah, I was training, and I did have fights fall through. There was fights that obviously I wouldn't say promised me, because they tried to make the fights happen. It wasn't anything to do with my end or my team or from my promotion company. They was delivering fights, and people was saying yeah and then pulling. I was meant to fight Lyndon Arthur. I think January we was meant to headline a show. He said he had an injury, he pulled out of that. Then I was waiting around for him for a while. Then I realized he wasn't serious, and he was just basically pulling me from pillar to post. There was a fight we spoke about last year after that other fight. And he wasn't ready. Then he wasn't ready for the end of the year. And then he was ready for January. Then he injured himself, he said, and it was just messing me around. So we had to look at other options. And then I got a phone call about Mccrory, and straight away I was like, oh yeah, it's an opportunity at light heavyweight against a good name, a world level fight. I'm in. I just want to fight. So that happened, and then I went straight back in. So I was just sorting out between training, sorting out, putting things in place in my personal life as well, while waiting to get the green light to fight.
And yeah, let's talk about that next step. Obviously, the fight takes place March 1st in Belfast, as you say, against Padraig Mccrory. Really big fight, really interesting fight. I think it's fair to say, Craig, that this is a must-win.
Yeah, I've got to win. If I want to get back into this big mix, I've got to win this fight. So yeah, I've been switched on. Camp's gone very well. I'm back to feeling my old self again, and I just wish this guy was the guy who turned up in the last fight. But I'm ready to go and ready to proved that I'm ready to get things right now.
And what do you know about Mccrory, Craig? Obviously, his rise up the rankings was impressive. He'd beaten some kind of C or B level fighters in good fashion, but obviously he ran into Edgar Berlanga, who at the time had gone the distance 5 times in a row and was looking a little bit average in those 5 fights. But obviously, Berlanga managed to finally get that long-awaited knockout over Mccrory, which kind of halted the Mccrory hype train slightly. Yeah, what do we know about Mccrory, though?
We know he's a good fighter. 18-1. Former IBO champion at light heavyweight. Then he went down to super middleweight. I think he won a few there. Then he ran into Berlanga, took his first loss, came back up to light heavyweight, won his fight at light heavyweight, his last fight, and now he's got me. So that's what I know of him. Obviously, won't lie, I haven't followed his career like that. I've done a bit of my research since obviously got offered him the fight. Just had a quick look in on him and what he's been doing. But yeah, looks like a very good fighter, very good name. And I feel like beating guys like him is what puts me back in the mix at world level.
I agree, absolutely. Craig, what is your prediction for the fight come March the 1st? Obviously, it's a win first and foremost, but do you want to go the extra mile and say by which method?
I'm not going to say which method. I'm just going to go in there and win by any means.
Absolutely. And obviously, this weekend, I'm sure you're going to be in front of a TV watching the mega card in Saudi. I want to run through a couple of fights just to get your opinion on them. And also, I think it'd be fun if I can get your picks for like the big 6 or 7 fights, whatever, just if we run through that briefly after. And I want to put together an accumulator, a Spider special accumulator to see what the odds would rack up to be just for fun. But firstly, the main event, let's start there. You've sparred Beterbiev, you fought Bivol. Who wins the rematch and who, in your opinion, won the first one?
That is a very, very good question. The first one, if I'm honest, I thought Bivol edged it. And I thought they might give it a draw, but I thought, they're going to give it to Bivol by a round or 2. And I think a lot of people thought that. The second one, I think they're both going to make the necessary adjustments. I think Beterbiev will be more aggressive. I think Biv will box a lot more and have a higher work rate and try to see it out to the end because he faded a bit in the 11th or 12. But I think he's identified his conditioning has to be better this time. And I think he has worked on that. I've sat on the fence the whole time, every time people ask me, but I'm actually going to edge towards Bivol for the rematch now. Okay. Not sure.
Okay.
I'm going to edge.
And
50-50 though.
Yeah, it's as close to 50-50 as possible. And another fight I'm sure you'll have one eye on, Buatsi Smith. Callum Smith being the underdog. He's been written off by some fans in the build-up, which I think is quite unfair. But how do you see that fight playing out as well?
I think Buatsi to win. The styles will gel well. I think they'll both have moments of their success. But I think Buatsi will come on top.
And then just for fun, Dubois-Parker. That's got a lot of people split.
That is very, very interesting. But I think it'll be a lot more competitive than people will anticipate. Parker is on the joke. Dubois can whack. It's 1-1's another 50-50. But I'm going to edge towards Dubois to the momentum he's been on.
Yeah, both got good momentum, but I see where you're going. Right, okay, so I just want to put this accumulator together, if you don't mind. It'll be fun. Now, I don't want you to necessarily pick the method of victory if you don't want to. You can if you do want to, but I think the odds are going to stack up good anyway, because if you've picked 6 winners, then all these fights are pretty much 50-50 fights, so it'll still be good overall odds. But let's start then with Buatsi Smith. So, do you want to pick a winner or just a winner? Yeah, okay. So Buatsi win. We're not going to go method of victory. Zhang against Caballero, Craig.
That's a good fight. I would say Caballero, though.
Okay.
But Because if he can take each other's shots, I think Zhang can get a little bit lazy the second half.
Yeah. He's going to be targeting the body as well. You just know that Caballel's going to be going down there. Virgil Ortiz, Madrimov.
I know Virgil Ortiz the favourite for this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Madrimov wins that.
You going Madrimov, yeah?
I think so. I think he could even do it by stoppage.
So you're going Madrimov though, yeah?
Yeah.
What, just for the win, or do you want to go to stoppage or not?
I think he could even go for a stoppage on that one.
All right, Madrimov stoppage. And then we've got Carlos Adames and Hamza Shiraz.
I think people are looking over Carlos Adam's head. Obviously, love to always go at the Brit, but I think Carlos could cause him some issues.
Okay, you going Adames, yeah?
Probably, yeah.
All right, we got 3 more to go. Shakur Stevenson against super late replacement Josh Padley, coming off a great win against Mark Chamberlain, but surely up against it. Stevenson.
I think Shakur.
Do you want to go a method or no?
Nah.
Okay,
Shakur.
safe stuff. Dubois Parker.
Let's go Dubois.
Method or not?
No, it's a hard fight though, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna say Dubois. I'm gonna back the Brit. Say Dubois.
And then finally, Beterbiev Bivol.
That's a hard one. Let's say Beterbiev. Well, let's say Bivol.
that's how split you are. You're changing it. Bivol, and is that going to be points? He's not going to stop us.
No, he's not going to knock him. No, points.
Right. That whole bet there, which is Buatsi win by any method, Caballel win by any method, Madrimov KO, Adames any method, Stevenson any method, Dubois any method, and then Bivol points 154-1. So there we go. If anyone fancies. I swear to God, if anyone fancies putting some money in that, you might pay off your mortgage. Craig, what an accumulator.
I might have to put that accumulator myself.
What an accumulator. That's the first time I've ever done that, but I just think the card itself is worthy with all those 50-50 fights of going through it and putting together the Spider Special, we're going to call it. So there we go. The Spider Special, which I'll post as well tomorrow or whatever, just before the fight, so people can jump on that if they wanted to. Just before we let you go, Craig, if you've got any closing words to the listeners, it's been a year without you on the show, sadly, and we hope to have you on more than just the once this year. But if you've got any words before we let you go, take it away, my friend.
I'm back. Full effect. Back to myself. I just want to thank all the sponsors and supporters who's been behind me. Elite Fleet Care, Printtown, RDS, Mill Team, and I want to thank the ongoing supporters who's still supporting. Thank you guys for the time and attention, and thank Matchroom Boxing, and thank Tony Sims and John Ryder down at the gym. We're ready. 2025 takeover. Let's go.
Cannot wait, my friend. Craig, as always, the pleasure is mine. Thanks so much for your time. Best of luck for March 1st. I'll be pulling for you, of course.
Come on, love. Appreciate that.